On behalf of all of us here at BPM and Bill.com, welcome to our webinar. We're very glad that you could join us today. I'm Brit Tompkins, Director here of the Technology Solutions Group at BPM. Our group specializes in implementing and optimizing cloud-based business applications for small and medium-sized businesses. Our focus enables businesses to run more efficiently without having to heavily invest in additional permanent resources. For the past 11 years, I've worked with clients in various industries, selecting, implementing, and supporting cloud-based applications. In fact, the solution that we'll be reviewing today, Bill.com, is one of my favorites. We are joined by some esteemed colleagues today. We have Brian Rohde, our fearless leader of the Technology Solutions Group here at BPM. We also have two Bill.com experts, and I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Super excited to have you guys, Lindsay and Noel.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. My name is Lindsay Wheeler. I am a Strategic Accounts Director for Bill.com. Been with them for about 3 years, and very excited to answer all of your questions about Bill.com and have Noel walk you through the application.
Hi, everyone. My name is Noel. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Bill.com. I've been with Bill.com better part of 4 or 5 years now. So I've seen the product grow, started out as a customer support representative, and now finding solutions for your clients as we go along and grow your practices.
Thank you both, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. During today's Part 2 webinar, we're going to be focusing on accounts receivable. So right now, we're all navigating these uncertain COVID-19 times, and we're focused on helping our clients adjust to operating remotely. So we understand that the gradual shift that we might have been making towards working remotely has now become an immediate need. And we also understand that cash flow is even more critical today. And so we're reaching out, presenting this webinar, letting you know that there are solutions out there like Bill.com that can help you automate your accounts payable and accounts receivable and do lots of cool things with their technology and submitting invoices and payments electronically. That's going to help avoid creating delays in your financial reporting process and other key workflows. So Bill.com is an AI-enabled accounts payable and accounts receivable solution, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in case you haven't seen or heard of the platform here in a little bit. I did want to introduce some strategies to keep in mind as you're moving through the presentation and the demo here today. So we are hoping to demonstrate these, we will be demonstrating these strategies. And so we want to improve your overall transparency. And what does that mean, Britt? Well, we want to be able to provide real-time reporting on, today we'll be going over accounts receivable. But we'll also see some online document storage inside of the system that's going to improve transparency. So you don't necessarily need to be in the office and digging through cabinets in order to see an invoice that was issued to a customer. We'll also be increasing your oversight, and we'll do that through approval workflows and digital audit trails. Everything that we're doing inside of the system is fully tracked inside of Bill.com. Bill.com also is a cloud-based technology platform and has some pretty cool automation. Some of the easiest ways to streamline or through automation is to remove paper from your process. We also offer a accounting system integration, and we'll talk through what accounting systems are currently integrate with Bill.com. And we also have templates, so that should help streamline the process. And we think through centralizing your process, you're going to have a centralized overview through a dashboard. You're also going to have a branded website address, so all of your customers get to see your brand, your logo, and know that they're paying you. And you'll be able to manage your priorities from a single view. And so we'll be demoing these strategies here in just a few minutes. Great. So those of you who might not have heard of Bill.com yet, I thought I'd do a brief introduction before I kick it over to Lindsay and to talk more about some of the great features. So for those of you who might not be familiar, it is a web-based platform, meaning you log on to it online, and it makes accounts payable and accounts receivable, as well as document management of those transactions, simple, fast, and secure. Today, during the demo, we're going to focus on the accounts receivable process and explore how easy and organized your receivable cycle can really be. Bill.com has so many benefits to offer as a virtual bill payment and accounts receivable solution, and we've experienced this firsthand as BPM exclusively partners with Bill.com. So internally, we use this application for our outsourced accounting clients. They come to us and ask to help run their accounting back office. And so we use this platform to serve over 100 clients in the Bay Area today. Another great point to mention is it is a very cost-effective tool. Lots of small to medium-sized businesses use this, including nonprofits. Bill.com also integrates with several of the most well-known accounting systems, such as QuickBooks Online, Xero, NetSuite, and Intacct. However, if you didn't hear your accounting system in that list, Bill.com can be used as a standalone software application. Next up, you'll hear from Lindsay.
Thanks, Brit. So we're going to walk you through a little bit about Bill.com. I'm going to start with some of our security measures that we have in place. So Bill.com applies an additional level of encryption to protect access to customer data so that that sensitive data isn't open for malicious applications. We have a couple of payment protections. So we're reducing, the risk of check theft by paying vendors with digital payments or checks that are sent if you're using us for the AP on Bill.com's check stock on your behalf rather than, having to have your blank check stock in the office or anything like that. On the AR side, your customers can log in and pay you directly via ACH, so they're not having to send a check through the mail. We also apply positive pay to reduce the risk of check fraud. So, that's built into Bill.com. That's not an extra service that you need to go out and acquire through your bank or pay for. And that's really where the bank is matching the check issued with the check presented for payment. And then we also keep your bank account as well as all of your clients' bank account information private from vendors by allowing you to make digital payments through the Bill.com account. Finally, your ability to access Bill.com from anywhere at any time on any device really gives you the security to receive payments from your clients, invoice your customers on the go. So a little bit about Bill.com and who we are. We are a leader in the financial process automation world. We are working with over 70% of the top 100 accounting firms. We work with the top US banks. We do the back-end bill pay for quite a number of them. We're processing $70 billion annually. We have millions of clients that are using Bill.com not only to pay bills, but also to receive payments from their clients, and we're endorsed by the AICPA. And I know Brit mentioned this earlier, but we do integrate directly with all of the top accounting systems, any version of QuickBooks, Xero, Intacct, and NetSuite. But as Brit mentioned, if you're using, an accounting software that you don't see, BPM can help you get that information in and out of the system. So specifically today, Noel's going to walk us through a demonstration of this platform, but we're going to focus on the receivables. And the reason that people look to Bill.com for the receivables solution is it's a way to automatically pay, especially now in the current environment that we're in, online, securely. And in that, we've done research, and most of our customers are getting paid 2 times faster for a couple of reasons that we'll highlight today. One of those is your customers have the ability to decide how they're going to pay you. So they can ACH you directly from their bank account. They can choose to PayPal you. They can send you a credit card payment. They can still write you a check to the invoice that you've sent them and send it in the mail. they have a myriad of options. Customers have the ability to view and pay these invoices online. So whether they're on their laptops or whether they're on the go on the mobile app, they can see as soon as you've sent them an invoice, and they can choose to pay it whichever way they'd like. And then it's also going to update your accounting software right away. So you're always going to have real-time data into what your cash flow looks like. And a couple of benefits here you'll see. Really what Bill.com does is it integrates the entire accounts receivable process and makes it accessible online, and it brings it into your accounting software. So it has that full circle. You're allowed to send invoices online. It allows you to accept payments however you choose, and it allows the customers the flexibility to see and view those invoices from anywhere, anytime. You have full customization, so when customers log into the portal to pay you, it'll have your look and feel, whatever you want that customer to see with your logo. You'll know when your customer has viewed the invoice. You can set up automatic invoicing. You can set up automatic reminders to your customers that invoices are due. And your customers can set up recurring payments for things like rent or subscription services. So, and takes the task that traditionally has been something that you might have to do, once or twice a week, once or twice a month on the weekends, and allows you to automate this and have it push out directly from Bill.com. So I'm going to let Noel kind of walk us through the system. And again, to remind you, if you do have questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A and we'll answer them as we go through.
Be helpful if I unmuted myself. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. So a little bit of what we'll be going over today is some of the overview screen here within Bill.com. Of course, we do have robust payables functionality, but today's focus is really around the receivables. So I'm just going to customize my view here a little bit. But in general, when you first log into Bill.com, depending on your role, we'll give you a great look in terms of open invoices, what's currently overdue, due within the next 7 days or even further out. And these, of course, are preset filters, so you can click directly in and see what's going on. For cash flow purposes, we can see any kind of payments that are coming in. So payments that have come in today or scheduled to come in within the next week or the next month, if you will. We can also review any past payments within the last 7 days or last 30 days. We can go back further, but these are just some preset filters and a good view in terms of if I have a large discrepancy of last week versus this week, we can certainly drill down by clicking into those and reviewing those payments. So let me go through the,
Some of our client question came in, hey, this screen looks so much different. I viewed Bill.com several months ago, maybe even a year ago, and this looks totally different. Have you guys done something to change the view?
This screen specifically, so this is the new user interface. I believe the majority of our accounting firms are now using this interface now. And we are working to convert everybody fully. I think we're currently sitting around 95% conversion. So it is possible there might be client accounts out there that are using the older interface. There is a link to switch to the new user interface from within the classic interface. So if this is something they'd like to review, but in terms of functionality, it's pretty much the same.
Absolutely, and just to piggyback on what Noel was saying, the new user interface, we went live with all of our clients on it, and there's a lot better technology embedded into this, including things like OCR on the accounts payable side, where you scan an invoice and it actually reads the text for you. So this is a great user interface, and we're excited to be supporting it for all of our clients. Sorry to interrupt, Noel.
No, perfectly fine. I usually work that way. It works great for me. So in terms of creating the invoice, now we do have flexibility across all the accounting systems we operate with. We can create them within Bill.com. We can send them through Bill.com, and we can also sync them into the accounting platform. Or if you have a client that's very much into their invoicing system and they prefer to use that, we can allow for those invoices to sync in directly to Bill.com. Then, of course, from there, what we can do is I'll go through the steps of creating the invoice in Bill.com, and then of course go through what the customer sees on their end, and of course any payment management thereafter. So creating the invoice in Bill.com, it'll be pretty much a blank template here. Now we can store, oh, it logged me out there, I apologize. Just log back in there.
And that's a great security feature. So if you do have Bill.com up on your computer screen for several hours, it will log you out, and it's for security purposes. So it's a good thing that it made you log back in. No, I know you and I were on here earlier this morning. So
right. Yep. So let me just go ahead and jump back in here. I will go ahead and create those invoices. There we go. All right. Going into create invoice, it'll be pretty much blank. So we'll be selecting the customer from the drop down here. Let me go ahead and select, and I can also type it in. It'll search what I have currently in my customer list. Now, just to note, if you are syncing with Bill.com, we do have a two-way sync for customers. So if the customer is not located in the list, maybe it's a brand new customer altogether, you can add that customer without having to stop your workflow. And you'll notice that through a lot of the list items or elements of an invoice, such as the item, department, location, class, so on and so forth. You can have several different invoice templates with Bill.com. This is more around data and what we want the data to look like to the customer when we send out the invoice. From here, I'll go ahead and select my item either from a drop-down or I can search them as well. Once I've selected them, if you have a description for that item, that will pre-populate based off of how that item is set up. The unit price will come across as well, but the quantity is always typically going to default to 1. In this case, I'll just go ahead and leave it as such, but I'll select my department and location here. And location, there we go. All set.
I love that you're taking the time to code the invoice, Noel. This is so important for the accounting back office process to make sure that the right entity is the revenue is being recorded for the right entity, for the right department. And I love that Bill.com supports all of these dimensions or tags.
Exactly. We also can bring in your sales tax items. So if you need to apply tax to something, we can make that specific line item. And if I need to add another one that's not taxable, you can certainly select which ones will be taxable and not taxable. And then, of course, we'll bring in your sales tax items, so you can select them directly from there. Now, we do have a message to the customer. Typically in the template, you can set up a default message, but if you'd like to customize it a little bit more, you certainly can. Then, of course, any attachments you may need to add, you can add either a different document, a receipt, anything kind of supporting this invoice in general. Not only does this show up with the invoice as an additional page, but these also show up in the email when we send out the invoices through Bill.com. Now, with Bill.com, we can choose to send the email right away, right now, or we can decide to send later. And this option is great, especially if you'd like to have a client review the invoices before we actually send them out. We do have a mailing option as well. There is an additional fee for mailing out invoices, but if you have a client that prefers to mail those out, we do have a service for that as well. In this case, I'll go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Yep, so I just wanted to catch it before you hit save. We had a question about making a field required. So let's say we wanted to make class required. Is that available on the setting, or is that something that we would get a sync error for? How does that work?
Sure. So in that case, we do not have a setting to make these required. The areas that are required with the asterisks are based off of what we need minimum-wise within Bill.com to create this. In terms of the accounting system, you can set it up on the back end. I know that for a couple of them, you can have it set where if you select this item, we require a class on this item. So if that is the case, that can result in a sync error, and that can be your safeguard at that point.
Yeah, that's what we use for our clients, and you manage all of the sync errors on the home page, and you check them, and it will say, hey, this invoice did not have a class, and so it actually tracks all of them in one spot for you. But just to directly answer the question, there isn't a setting that you can turn on. You manage it through a different process. Thanks,
Right, that's
Noel.
correct. All right, I'll go ahead and click preview and send here in the upper right-hand corner. If we did select later, you'll notice that it's just for saving. But I want to go ahead and send this now, so we can click preview and send. Now, the reply to user is usually selected as a default based off of the email template that you have set up. Now, of course, the reply to user is intended for if a customer that receives the invoice decides to reply back to the email, who do we send that email to? And that's the user we'll send it to. We'll also confirm the customer's email address. Any contacts under that customer will be carbon copied. And of course, this is the email template itself, but if you, for this specific bill, if I'd like to change that specifically, I can edit that and customize that here on the spot. Any additional attachments, you'll have the document itself, and you'll notice here there's some information such as quantity per unit. Quantity and per unit cost here will not show up, and I have that set up specifically on my template. So even though I'll see it in the creation screen, if the template is set up differently, the customer may or may not see that. And of course, any additional attachments will be additional pages.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What if there were some receipts that we needed to send along with the invoice? Would those show up here too for the customer?
Yes, that is correct. Not only will they show up here on your preview before you send it, but they'll also show up on the email as an additional attachment. On top of it, in the customer payment portal, they'll also be able to review those attachments.
Love it.
Great. And attachments don't necessarily have to come directly from here. You could, let's say you already created the invoice, you haven't sent it out yet. You can still utilize your Bill.com inbox to process additional documents to that specific invoice. So if you prefer that, or you're waiting on someone to do that, you can just have them send it to the inbox so you can do it for them. All right, I'll go ahead and click send here in the upper right-hand corner, and we'll get a success notification that the invoice was sent. You'll also notice in the invoice list as we return to it, it will give you a status. I have a few that are waiting to be sent out later. I'm going to have someone review those. Of course, once we've actually sent that out, that will update from pending to sent, and we'll update the date as to when that invoice was sent on. If you'd like to click into the process and see what's going on with that specific invoice, we'll provide a timeline at the top in terms of when it was sent. If they are not connected via the Bill.com network as a customer, they will have an accepted. This means they've opened up the email. They may have clicked on the link and gotten into the customer payment portal. And then, of course, you'll have when the payment is incoming. If they are connected via the network, this will say bill created. So in this case, though, they've had created it within their Bill.com accounts. You can also send on demand.
What's really great here is our customers could also use Bill.com, create the bill, and then we see, they've coded it in their system and it's ready to be processed. So we can see some insights into when they're going to pay the bill. And then, we see it's being processed. I'm going to expect this to come into my bank account. I'll add it to my cash flow workflow report. So what's really great here is Bill.com showing us some insights in terms of when you're going to get paid, if they're either a Bill.com customer, or two, using the link to pay the bill electronically. So I really like that feature. Thanks for showing that.
Yeah, no problem. And if you do need to go between different invoices, you don't have to keep clicking this X. We've actually added a lot of the slideshow options here at the top, so I can go on to the next invoice that was within that queue, and I can see that next invoice for either that same customer or however I have my filters set up. So I'll go ahead and close out of here. And what I'll do is I'll jump over into my email and show you exactly what the customer will see on their end. And then just let me know if there are any questions, by the way. I notice we have a couple coming in there. But in general, this is the email that they'll see. This is a very basic one. This is the one that Bill.com has set up as a default. So there's no real customization that I've done here. If you want to customize that, I will show you a little bit later here where that can be done within the settings in terms of the email and invoice templates. You'll see that the attachments are located down here. So if I added any additional attachments, such as receipts, those will be located here as well. But if they're ready, they'll click Pay Invoice Electronically. Now, if it's your client's customer, if it's their very first time getting into the customer payment portal, we will be able to recognize that based off the email that they had clicked on the link from. So it'll actually take them to this screen, and we'll have some pre-filled out information based off that invoice. So not anyone can come in and have a login here. It requires an invoice that they have to have that invoice itself. Once they've completed this, we'll ask for an email and password to pretty much set them up within the customer payment portal. In this case, I'll go ahead and log in as the customer. And so we go
While you're doing that, I did have some questions. So in terms of QuickBooks QuickBooks has a similar invoice function. Does it mean that they just sync QuickBooks to Bill.com and like their open invoices would show up in Bill.com? No.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, there's flexibility in that. So we do have a two-way sync for invoices, meaning that you can go ahead and create them within QuickBooks, send them through QuickBooks, or send them through another service. And as long as they sync into Bill.com, the customers can still access the payment portal. Now, that being said, we don't necessarily sync over the exact invoice and what it looks like from those other systems, but at least we'll have the data in Bill.com to allow the customers to pay those invoices. Okay. Then from here, we're pretty much entering in the customer payment portal, where it's very much kind of like a statement, if you will, a digital statement, where we can see the current balance, any payments that have been scheduled or completed, and what the current open balance is. On top of it, we can see any unpaid bills or bills that are scheduled to be paid or partially paid bills as well. But when they're pretty much ready to pay, they'll just click on this blue button that says Pay Outstanding Bills. They'll be able to review any open bills currently that are unpaid or partially paid, and I can schedule the payment directly from here manually. I can select either bank account, credit card, or PayPal from the drop down here. And if I've added several accounts, or if I don't have one yet, there'll be a blue button to allow me to set up. But from here, I can select the account that I'd like to charge it out of. And of course, what day I want those funds to leave my bank account and start en route to my customer, my vendor in this case. When they're ready, they'll just click Pay here in the bottom right, or to the bottom right-hand corner. And then the payment has been scheduled. Now, the customer also has an option, if they've scheduled this ahead of time, to cancel the payment before that payment date. So if there's a cash flow issue, possibly worried about NSF, they can certainly go in and cancel that payment.
So the customer is in control of their own cash until the payment is submitted. I think that makes sense. And it's really great that, hey, I'm going on vacation, Noel. Can you pay this bill for me? I got your notification saying it's 3 days, going to be due in 3 days. Could you do that as well? Could you charge my credit card? Could you?
Absolutely. So if they've entered it here in the customer payment portal in terms of the credit card or bank account, you may not be able to see all the details on that because we'll be masking those, but you'll be able to charge those specific payment types within the actual UI in Bill.com if that is the case.
Right. So customer could give us written permission, and if they call us and say, hey, I need you to charge my card, I'm not able, to get to it right now, we could log in and do that for them and
Correct.
pay the invoice.
Absolutely.
Great.
Another feature we've also allowed the customers to set up, and you can turn this off if you don't want them to have this ability, but in general, they can set up auto pay for themselves. Where they'll set up a maximum payment amount. Maybe I'm not usually receiving bills more than $500 from this vendor. And then of course, what bank account, credit card, or PayPal account I'd like to pay that out of. And how many business days before or after the invoice is due do I want that to go ahead and auto charge my payment method. We'll also remind them 3 business days before withdrawing that payment, so they can certainly jump in to the customer payment portal should they need to cancel it for whatever reason on that auto charge. Last area that we have here is we do have a notes section. Whatever the customer enters in here will actually show up in the customer profile. And then of course, any notes you add in the customer profile, you can choose to either share with the customer or just leave it internally. So you have that option, they don't necessarily do. They can also leave notes on specific bills as well. And they can also review your notes that you may have left. So if there does need to be a little bit more of a dialogue, it's a little bit more involved in terms of communication, the notes option is an excellent feature to use. All right, I'll go ahead and jump back into the account here. And as we were mentioning, the option to go ahead and charge that customer, that can be located on the overview screen, the actions, or even on payments in screen here. We'll click on Get Paid, and that will take us to the charge area. From here, I can select the customer that I'm looking to charge. And we do have an option of recording a manual payment. So if something was paid outside of Bill.com, you can record that manual payment, and you have the option, if it's already been recorded in the accounting system, if you want us to sync it in or not. So if it has been recorded, uncheck it. If it hasn't, check it and we'll sync it in for you. But I'll go ahead and charge the customer. I have the option of emailing a receipt as well. We can do partial payments from here and click right into that invoice, what day we want that to be paid on. Let's say I'll go ahead and schedule this one out into a couple Mondays from now. And of course, which bank account, credit card, so on and so forth, and submit it from there.
That's really great because we can ask our customers to pay us electronically, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to, right? They can still send us a paper check. And what do we do when that paper check comes in? Well, we want to mark that the invoice was paid so it doesn't sit on our accounts receivable aging report. And we also want to record that we received a deposit. So what I like about Bill.com is that you can mark the invoice as paid, and then they'll create the accounting transaction for you that the check has come in, so that when you go to reconcile your checking account, it's updated and it has that $500 deposit in the accounting system for you. So that's a big time saver.
Right, excellent. So other options that we do have as it pertains to creating invoices, we do have a recurring invoices module. So if you have something that's going to be a subscription-based type of invoice, you're not really sending it out, you're just really looking to charge them, you can really fully automate this where I'm setting up the recurring invoice and then I'm also setting up auto charge for the customer. Therefore, they're just getting their subscription payments done every month without someone or needing someone to trigger anything from their side or your side. Then I'll go ahead and go into the settings here and I'll go over some of the setup as it pertains to receivables. We do have the branded website address. So as we had mentioned before, the flexibility of being able to invoice outside of Bill.com, what you can do is to allow access or to give access to the customer payment portal without having to send the invoice through Bill.com. You can add this customized URL or branded website address, if you will, to your invoice template in the other system. At that point, they can click into it, takes them directly to the customer payment portal.
So Noel, what I'm hearing is that would be a really easy way for our clients to offer their customers an electronic bill payment solution, especially during now, right, when a lot of businesses, everybody's working remote, COVID-19, you're not allowed to go into the office. So you can request your customers pay you electronically by simply setting up a Bill.com account. That seems pretty useful, especially right now.
Right, absolutely, I agree. Then, of course, invoice templates. Now, as I had mentioned before, the invoice templates are a little bit less about, customizing how it looks and a little bit more about how you want that data to display to the customer. Just to show you here a little bit, we only have a few different styles. For me, I usually prefer the modern, it's a little bit more cleaner there. But in terms of the labels, we can change the labels. When you go through the entry of the invoice in Bill.com, they'll all read the same as this. However, the display of the invoice or the rendering of the invoice will push whatever labels you put in here. And if you notice the one that I sent, I didn't have the unit quantity or price. I didn't really want the customer seeing that, what I charge per unit or anything else like that. So I kind of had that hidden from them, but I still had to enter that in because that is a required field in Bill.com. If you don't plan on going through Bill.com for the payments or using the customer payment portal, you have an option of turning off that branded website address. And then, of course, jumping back into the settings, going into the invoice template, which is pretty much or the email template, which is pretty much for when you send out those invoices. That's exactly what it looked like when I received my email. But if you'd like to edit this a little bit further, change some of the messaging, add some instructions, you can certainly do that here. Then, of course, in order to set up these different types of payments within Bill.com, we have the online payments option. Now, even if you're using AP with Bill.com, once you've entered in that bank account, we'll have you automatically set up to receive e-payments. But in terms of PayPal or credit card, you'll need to go through the setup links with them specifically here. For credit card, we only process with Vantage PayTrace. They pretty much have a standard market price, if you will, when it comes to credit card processing, but they do accept all major credit cards: MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express. Last but not least, I always like to go over the auto reminders, which is one of our advanced features as well. So if you do have, if you'd like for us to remind those customers that the invoice is coming, or if it's overdue, generally we can set that up, and you don't have to use all 3 reminders. You can use 1 or 2. And our default setup is a 30, 60, 90 model, but you can always change that. Maybe you want to have a week before, have them be reminded that the invoice will be due soon. This is a great way to certainly expedite those payments and get those in without having to chase people down when it's overdue.
I like this. So the idea is set this up, have the system remind the customer, not a physical person keep track of it. Think about it at night. Oh, I got to remember to invoice or email customer ABC tomorrow because they're going to be past due. You just set it in the system, and for more or less kind of walk away. It does the work for you.
Right. And it is absolutely a catch-all. So there's no way to exclude specific customers from this, basically. All right, so last area I like to go over usually is the reports. Not a lot of people know that we do have some receivables reports in Bill.com because they're generally all the way down here at the bottom. But it's very similar if you're familiar with Bill.com via our AP system. It's very similar where we'll have an open invoice report, which is very akin to the unpaid bills report. Customer balance detail, same thing as vendor balance detail. AR aging, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to take a look at, what invoices do I have in Bill.com versus my accounting system, great way to do that is comparing the aging reports. And we do have a funds transfer detail for e-payments received. So we do have a clearing account for any funds that are received through the customer payment portal. And then, of course, all received payments, just like all paid out payments. So whether they were online or you recorded them manually, we'll have all those listed there as well. But I will go ahead and open up to Q&A unless there's anything else you'd like me to go over here.
I think this has been super helpful. We certainly appreciate your expertise in showing us the AR side of Bill.com today. We have just a few wrap-up slides, and then we will get into our designated Q&A session time. So I certainly hope that you can stick along in case people come up with some questions in the next couple of minutes. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Amazing, great. Well, to wrap up the demo today, we really hope that we showed you how you can increase your oversight, improve your transparency, centralize your business processes, and streamline through automation. I think Noel did an excellent job of showing us how the features and functionalities work inside of Bill.com, and BPM loves this product. We use it with over 100 clients here at BPM. Now you may be thinking, oh, Brit, this looks great. We would love to have a program like this, a virtual solution, but we're busy, right? Our staff's working from home. We're just trying to keep track of what everybody's doing in our business. Well, that's okay. BPM can help you. So if you'd like some help in terms of advising you of what process, procedures, or programs to select, if you're thinking, is Bill.com right for me or not, I love to have those sorts of conversations. We can also help with the more structured things as well, like chart of accounts, workflows, best practices, so that when you're setting it up and you're training your staff, you're not just coming with an out-of-the-box solution. We'll actually teach you the best way to use it, since we do use it for many, many clients inside of BPM. So I'm going to check the chat box and the Q&A for any questions that have come in. Oh, Lindsay, we did have a question come in when we were in the demo of, I think it was Vanguard for the credit card. So will integrating Authorize.net incur additional fees? So it sounded like you just worked with the one credit card processor. Maybe you could walk us through, are others allowed? And if so, are there fees?
Yeah, right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Noel, we just work with Vanguard for credit cards.
That's correct, right? So I do know that I was looking through the Q&A. I know that someone is currently using Authorize.net. As of right now, Bill.com does not have any immediate plans to switch providers or allow different providers at this time. It is on our roadmap to eventually revamp this and look into that, as we know that's been an ask for a little while. But just stay tuned, keep your eye on release notes, and we will certainly notify you if we have any major changes in that area.
Let's see, another question having to do with accounts payable. Does BPM recommend using the email way to pay? That came in just a few minutes ago. I think I might need to follow up with you on that individually. You're actually a current client. So yeah, I'll give you a call and we can talk about it later today. I want to get a little bit better understanding of email way. We did also get a question. Are you guys seeing an influx of new accounts because of COVID and people having to work remotely? Are you guys pretty busy?
I can show you my calendar if you'd like to see that. I'm pretty much back to back all day, every day.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think when we were talking, you said something like 40 demos a week. 40 meetings.
Yeah, probably more than that for Noel. That's probably just what I require from him to do. But yes, I will say Bill.com is very busy. We are seeing an influx just because, especially on the AP side, to think about your customers that you're invoicing as well, to bring this back. If you're sending those bills, people aren't in their office. They're having to have separate services go and open their mail, maybe scan things back. There's just a lot of what if. So I think the ability to access and make payments and send invoices and receive payments while this whole kind of crisis was going on was very important to people.
It's been huge for us too at BPM. We've seen a lot of traction, activity. Clients who maybe signed up for just one side are now signing up for both accounts payable and accounts receivable. And so partly of why we wanted to do this webinar, to give everybody an overview of what both sides of the software looked like. Another question, and this has to do with accounting systems that aren't on the list that are currently integrated, and I think I'll take this one. So what do we do if we're using an accounting system that isn't Xero, QuickBooks, NetSuite, or Sage Intacct? Well, you can use Bill.com as a standalone system, and it would work a little bit differently depending on what system your GL package is, but the idea it would be an import or an export to both systems to get the open AR invoices over posting into the GL. We also, Bill.com also has an open back end so that you can handshake it if you build the connection. And so that is an option as well. You really like the system, you see the value, we come up with some great return on investments. Then we would look to scope and build a solution that would integrate your standalone accounting package with Bill.com for the time being. So there's a couple different options there. This is a good question for Lindsay. Is Bill.com the same price whether you use AP or AR? What's the pricing structure like?
Yes, it is. So I would encourage you to reach out to Brit or Brian at BPM and take advantage of their assistance, and they're one of our valued partners, so they get a bit of a wholesale pricing through us. But whether you use AP or AR or one or the other, it's the same price. And then there's a per transaction fee at Bill.com. So if you are using the AP and you are cutting a check, it's $1.69 per check. And then with the AR or on AP, if you're using ACH, it's 49 cents.
Thank you, Lindsay. Another question I had come in, approximately what percentage of our clients use both AR and AP products? I would say the majority, 100% of our clients using Bill.com use the AP functionality, and I encourage you to watch webinar 1 if you haven't. And right now we've seen an increase. We're probably up to maybe 50% of our clients now also using the AR function. Not all of our clients actually invoice customers, just depending on the industry that they're in. But I'm seeing a bigger uptick in terms of activating those particular settings now that we're all working remotely. And so we're excited to see that. Oh, good question about document management. So is the Bill.com standalone fine? So when I think about Bill.com's document management, and Lindsay, maybe you can weigh in here too, is I think of all the supporting documentation for your vendors and your customers. So I think W-9s, 1099s, any letters that you're getting from your customers about change of address. Those are the sorts of documents, receipts, that I think about hosting inside of Bill.com. But Lindsay, I think it has a much broader use, and maybe you can speak to that.
It does, and I think the question alluded to integrating Receipt Bank with Bill.com as well. So Noel, feel free to step in if I'm missing anything here. You certainly can do that, and it will push in receipts. With Bill.com, you don't necessarily need both systems because you can take pictures and images on the mobile app and upload them there. But I will say, I don't know that I would use Bill.com's document storage as your only document storage solution for your entire business, but certainly anything related to AP, and we're never going to purge it and it's unlimited documents, but you might want to have some sort of other file share system.
Yep. I would probably say in terms of the integration with Receipt Bank, they own the integration. They're not currently within our App Center. In terms of supporting integrations in general, we're mostly with accounting systems.
And Lindsay, what about Box? Does Bill.com integrate with Box at all?
No.
And I think that's what Lindsay was getting at, is that it's not meant to be a document management tool for your entire organization, but it is meant to host your accounts payable and your accounts receivable all inside of one system. And so you think somebody who's running, or a group of people who are running your accounts payable and accounts receivable, they're logging into one system and they have access to every document that they would need to process a payable. If a vendor calls them, right, they have everything they need. If a customer calls them, they have the receipts, the invoice in front of them. And so it's really meant to help with those processes.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for allowing us to show you this side of Bill.com that I think people don't always remember that we do. To Brit's point earlier and the question that came in, how many people are utilizing both AP and AR? I will say that one of the biggest benefits of using Bill.com for AR is that your clients do have the ability to pay you via ACH at 49 cents a transaction. So versus a 2 or 3% credit card charge, that's a significant savings right there. So I think that's what I would leave it with. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the BPM team. They're probably just as knowledgeable as we are on this. anything that you have to add, Noel?
In no way is the product stagnant. It's not set in stone. We're always looking for improvements. We love feedback. We get that feedback to our product team. We figure out how we want to plan the roadmap, so on and so forth. So don't be afraid to speak up. We are open ears over here at Bill.com, and we want to make this the best experience for you.
Oh, that's great. And that segues perfect into Bill.com actually has an office in California. I've been to it. They actually let you in and you can talk to people. So it's been really amazing working with you guys. Your support is top notch. We get answers to any questions that we have same day, which is something rare here in 2020. So we enjoy working with you. Please reach out if you have any questions. So again, thank you everybody for attending the webinar today. It's been our pleasure presenting this solution to you, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great day.